Hi, I'm the Ever Prince. So today we're going to be talking about what GW decided would be a good idea, and that would be the release of the new Grey Knights Combat Patrol, which I'm sure the entire community of Warhammer is up in arms and overjoyed how amazing it is. Like, what? It's total ass, and they just have four firstborn Marines in it. Nah, I know GW. I know they made some mistakes in the past. They've done a lot of things that a lot of people are not happy with. But there's no way, in any way, shape, or form, that they would ever consider, oh my God, they did it. So, obviously, we're going to be talking about this combat patrol. And, okay, I am all right. You know what? Let's get the obvious thing out of the way. It's all firstborns, as I was told by my lovely watcher, my Black Cell watchers, the custodians, and yeah, apparently GW decided to update no further models, but simply decided to release a combat patrol of simply firstborn Marines. Now, while a lot of people aren't happy, shockingly, I know I was being a little hyperbolic. I know some people are not happy with that at all. But I do know a couple people who are specifically into the firstborn Marines, specifically the Grey Knights bodies themselves, and a lot of people actually point out they did not want them to go to the firstborn to Primaris versions, and found that the firstborn Grey Knights was a lot better. I personally am completely opposed to that. I think that GW should have Primarisified them. There are some solutions that I'll get to later on how people can, potentially fix this problem. It's not that hard, really. But some comments, some quick criticisms that I have for the box set in general is the obvious question of there being no new models and there being no Primaris Marine updates for the sculpts. But another big issue that I think everyone else is going to quickly call out is what the hell is Castellan Crow doing here? Like, for people who don't know how combat patrols work, they're typically meant to be an introduction to the game, an introduction to Warhammer in general. And so it's important for them to be not generic, because when you say generic, it sounds bad. What they should be is a snapshot of the army, and you should see it and think, oh, okay, well, this is just a small fraction of the army, but there's a whole expansive universe effectively that I can work with if I'm willing to, buy the army and build the army. The thing is, though, is that if you have a named character, which Castellan Crow is, everyone knows. Well, if you don't know who Castellan Crow is, here's a very, you know what? Let's consider this a lore in the box episode. Why not? Let's do the lore in the box for this box set and how god awful it is. So Castellan Crow is one of the sorry, I had to move. Is one of the named Grey Knight characters. Now, who Castellan Crow is and what he does is very simple. He is a purifier, which basically means that he is the most pure of all the Grey Knights. And if you don't, it doesn't statement doesn't mean much to you. The best way to put the Grey Knights is let's put this into tiers of immunity, right? So you have chaos, pure evil, malicious power that corrupts people. You have humans at the bottom. Space Marines with good training can be superior to them, though Space Marines have fallen. Just look at the Chaos Marines and the Traitor Primarchs. Then above them, you have the Grey Knights. The Grey Knights are more pure and more devout and more, I shouldn't say devout. They're more pure and they're more resistant to the corruptions of chaos in comparison to Space Marines. That being said, though, Grey Knights can fall to chaos. It is possible. There is a lot of people think the Space Marines can fall to chaos, or not Space Marines, that Grey Knights can fall to chaos. That is incorrect. Grey Knights can fall to chaos. There just hasn't been any known or documented Chaos Grey Knights. Regardless, Castellan Crow, however, is a tier even above Grey Knights. So again, if the Grey Knights are nearly immune or at least extremely resistant to chaos, Castellan Crow is an anomaly even among them. There is the theory that he's a null, which I really like. I think that'd be really cool to have a null Grey Knight. But I think there was already a null. No, there was a perpetual Grey Knight. There wasn't a null Grey Knight yet. The perpetual Grey Knight is basically a Grey Knight who can't die under any circumstances, and I think that lore is fucking stupid. If you guys want me to do a discussion on why I think a perpetual Space Marine is dumb, I will gladly do that. I think there's a whole discussion to go on about that. But the point I'm making about Castellan Crow is that he's a named character. He's an epic hero by the literal rules of the game, and you should not have an epic hero in the starter set. All right, there are some. I don't want to say there's exceptions because ideally you shouldn't want an epic character in a combat patrol. The whole point of combat patrol is they're an intro set, but they can also function as a very simple and cheap way to get a large amount of units. And I think, okay, you know what? This is a theory. This is just something I have in my head. I think because, if you ignore Castell and Crow and you put just a Grey Knight captain, they're not called captains, I think they're called masters. But regardless, if you replace Castell and Crow with a generic HQ of the Grey Knights themselves, this box is honestly really goddamn good. Like, again, if we ignore the Primaris issue that they aren't updated models, okay, yeah. If you want to take that argument of they aren't Primaris models and throw that out the window, my window's over there. So I throw it out the window, then okay, what arguments do you have left in this? Well, you can say they are on new sculpts, okay, so that's out of the window. What is this box lacking? The only real issue it's missing, the only real issue with it is Castell and Crow himself. And I think the reason why they did that is so that Castell and Crow makes buying this box set unfavorable on repeated buys. Because I did some quick calculations on my phone on what on because I did some quick calculations on my phone and I found out that this box set is actually almost worth 600 points. It can be 600 points if you put an enhanced. This box set can be 600 points if you put an enhancement on Castell and Crow himself, which is crazy because that means that this box set is great for repeated buys. Yeah, the Grey Knights have, insane point value already. Like the models themselves are generally of a higher point value than other Space Marine models themselves. So like it isn't that like it's like comparing the Custodes army, right? Like, oh, you get 500 points of Custodes. Okay, but that's like four models. That's Trajan Valorous and like some Sisters of Silence. That's not a big issue. That's not a big promotional thing for you to give. So that's even still though, like even if you want to throw the argument out that yeah, the models are pointed very point heavy. So again, it doesn't matter if you get a lot of points per box set. Castellan Crow is the only issue with this box set. He's the only thing wrong with buying this box set multiple times. And personally, if I like a part of me wants to get this box set because I don't mind the box knots. Like, yeah, they're a little funny looking. I was never the biggest fan of the box knots to begin with, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to appreciate them in general because like I have a box knot on my shelf. I have a dreadnought. I have an old school dreadnought. So I don't mind if I have a box knot in my arm, especially for the Grey Knights who look amazing. They're fun. They're very knightly. I think the box knot fits with them very great. I believe these Strike Marines, they're great. They teleport on the map. Each one of them is a highly skilled warrior, and they come with amazing weapons. I love the Power Helpers. They're great kit bash material. I want to get some for myself. I love everything about if anything, if I'm going to be completely honest, when I first started 40K, I wanted to buy the Grey Knights. I wanted to buy the Grey Knights because I love the knightly feel, I love the heraldic feel, and I wanted to make them into basically Dark Angels with custom power armor. Like they just had very custom, very elite, specialized power armor. But I eventually got rid of that and came up with some new lore ideas. But the thing is, there's nothing really wrong with this box except Castell and Crow. Like everyone who's complaining that there's new models, I don't want to hear it, okay? Like I don't want to hear yes, there's no new models, but if the fact that they aren't Primaris size really bothers you, if you are really going to throw a temper tantrum about the fact they aren't new sculpts, which by all means you're allowed to, but just be aware there are some people who don't freaking care if they are Primaris Marines. The thing is, if that's the issue, just buy a box of basic intercessors. It isn't hard. In fact, it's honestly super easy to just buy a box of 10 or you know what? You know what? Here's a quick tip. Buy a Crusader squad. Buy a Crusader squad. Those basic like the amount of Marines that you get in a Black Templars combat patrol, you could just use the bodies and just add the bits from this box onto. Obviously, you shouldn't buy two combat patrols. That's awful. That's awful because you're only going to be using half the bodies. But like if the issue that you have is just size, then just buy some basic bodies, some basic interest bodies, or go on Etsy. The amount of people that I've seen on Etsy who make bodies, like Primaris size bodies, you could easily work with that. Just use the Primaris bodies and just make new Space Marines. It's not that hard. So I mean, people complaining about it isn't that big of an issue. I do like Castellan Crow's model though. I think he's really cool. And again, if I was gonna buy this box set, I would honestly have Castellan Crow be kit bashed as a probably a Space Marine champion. I'd probably get him as a champion, and I would do something with his sword, something lore wise for his sword. But there isn't very much else to go off of for this box set other than just complaining and bitching, which I kind of wanted to do for a little bit because I also wanted to jump on on the hate train because, like, again, I don't like the Castle and Crows in this box set. I really don't. I think that if he was replaced with generic HQ, this box set would be amazing. So, other than that, though, I've got nothing else to say. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I hope you guys enjoy my bitching and rambling. See you.